Do some of the plants in your garden wear you out? Well, today is your lucky day because we're going to talk about easy to grow vegetables in your gardening. That's right. If you're new, you don't have to worry about these. And if you've been gardening for a long time, you get to take a break. We love easy vegetables. We love easy food. We love easy plants. Right here on the Backyard Gardens podcast.
To have a good harvest, one must plant good seeds and must also use the right kind of fertilizer. The carrots have grown large and firm. How good they will taste.
Welcome to the Backyard Gardens podcast, where we talk about all things gardening and give the information out for you to be successful in your garden, whether it's your first or your last. We are your hosts, Ben, the backyard gardener, and
Batavia, the front yard gardener.
one in the country,
One in the city.
Now get ready as we dig deep into this wonderful world of gardening as we learn to grow and grow for change. My favorites are not necessarily the easiest ones. How's that?
It's life, man. The things we like the most aren't always the things that come easiest to us.
No, they don't. And so last week we did our favorites to grow, correct? Of all the vegetables.
Yeah. All of the
So this
vegetables
week-
known to mankind are favorites.
Right. But these are ones that we're talking about specifically for the summer season, correct?
That's right.
Yep. And not only that, this is your last week to enter our direct sowing seed giveaway. Ding, ding, ding. I make my own bell up today. Where's the bell? Is it broke?
I don't know. I'm drinking coffee. I'm like, I thought we're still on the opening. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yep. And I want to do a quick PSA. So we've gotten a couple comments on both of our Backyard Gardens TV on Instagram and our Backyard Gardens YouTube. Batavia's name is Batavia with a B. It is not Octavia. And no worries, we're not upset with you. It happens. But I just want to make that announcement. Her name is Batavia.
Can I add to that announcement since it's my name? And do you see the
Sure.
spotlight on me?
I do.
So, really quickly, story. I was on a call for work with my boss, who I've worked with for like 20 plus years. And he commonly says my name in conversation. You know, that doesn't always happen, right? So I had him on speaker because that's the way I roll when I'm at home by myself. And my uncle came in. And so he was milling about until I wrapped up. And so my boss said, "All right, Batavia, I'll talk to you later." And so I hung up, said my goodbye and hung up. And so my uncle, he looks at me like, "What did he call you?" And so in that moment, I paused and I realized that he heard Batavia very clearly. But for all of my life, he's called me Patavia.
I've heard that a lot,
it's
too.
Pataya. That's how he says it, Pataya.
Oh.
And so again, it's, it's not, whatever, And so it occurred to me that he wasn't saying Batavia and it just sounded different. You know how that goes? Like he thinks he's saying Batavia. He clearly he thought my name was Pataya. So, but I've gotten Batavia. Clearly, I've gotten Octavia. I've got Latavia.
Yeah.
It's just a myriad of things when I go to stores and they ask for my name.
Isn't Latavia a country?
Maybe so.
Yeah, I think it's a country. And then Octavia, isn't that Spanish origins?
Or Octavia is the girl that does my hair.
Is she?
It is. Isn't that something?
Wow.
Yeah. I've also gotten Wendy.
Do you hear that? That was crickets. I don't get it.
I don't either. For years, I would get like on my voicemail, like for work or something, you'd have, "Okay, hey, Wendy." And I'm like, I don't know what you're hearing when you listen to my message, but
It's not Wendy.
yeah, not that.
Yeah, I've gotten Dan as my name before. That's where they mess mine up. Dan.
I like Dan though.
So I don't. My name is Ben. And that's why, because I say it like a southerner, Ben, but like there's an I in it. And when I was up north, they didn't like it. So
Yeah.
anyways, well, it's Batavia and it is Ben. And this is the Backyard Gardens podcast. And we're going to talk about summer vegetables that are easy to grow.
Hey
What is
there.
your number one favorite easy? No, not favorite. What's an easy one? Give me an easy one.
Easy one for me, cucumbers.
Oh, that is an easy one for you.
Yeah, I've grown them, direct sowed them, transplanted them. They probably have been in my garden every year. Even when they get sick later in the season, I mean, I still feel like I've gotten what I wanted out of them. They are real givers when it comes to vegetables. I mean, I struggle to, even if I think beyond myself, to think about people that talk about not being able to grow cucumbers. I know there's that whole pollination issue in some instances, but you know.
Yeah, they're pretty easy for me. I have issue with some of the powdery mildew. You know what I mean? I have issue with powdery mildew, and then I have a good problem where I just get too much.
Yeah. So that's what I mean by they get sick later in the year. But because cucumbers, as far as I know, they basically will go until the frost or disease kills them, right? So I never make it until the frost for my cucumbers. But it's kind of something I've accepted as, it is what it is.
Well, usually by the time they go, you're like, screw another cucumber for real. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, beyond pickles, that's the one thing that, like, how do you preserve it even? Like,
Yeah, pickles, relish.
Yeah.
So what we started doing is we started making hot pickles. And then I gave my Clausen pickle recipe out.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go back and find that episode.
Yeah. It's going to be later. It's going to be later in the season, not when you expected, because that was the whole thing, right?
I was late. Yeah, I was late.
It's like Happy Thanksgiving, and here's my... No, I'm joking.
You know what? As a matter of fact, when I get my first cucumber this year, my very first one, I will give that recipe again. Okay. Remind me.
All right. I got a note.
Hold me to it. But because we made so many pickles before, we got tired of that recipe. So now we have to find another recipe for a different flavor to do stuff. And I don't know a lot about pickles.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got to find new pickles and stuff like that. So
yeah, it was the first thing I wanted to can, like the first thing I ever wanted to preserve. And I think it took me like 3 years as a normal for me to do it. I only got a couple of jars out of it. It was a terrible recipe. And so I was like,
Yeah.
Then tried, like I've said this before, like I was trying to give it away to a relative and they're like, didn't you say that it didn't really taste great? I'm like, yeah, but I mean, that was to me. Maybe you like it.
Yeah.
But last year's recipe, like it worked. I mean, it was a packaged formula. So I enjoyed them. And it's one of those things, the more I have of them, the more I eat them. So
everybody that has Netflix or whatever, if you want to see something funny about pickles recipes, go to the Andy Griffith Show, season 2, episode 11. Okay, and it's like, I remember as a kid, my parents would watch it, and you would always know that show's on because they would laugh hysterically the entire time. And it's pretty damn funny, especially if you make your own pickles and stuff, and you're trying, or you can, and you're just trying to find new recipes. Yeah. It's pretty damn good. So episode 2, season 11.
Yeah. Okay.
Or no.
Episode 2, season 2, episode 11.
Yes, thank you. I got twisted.
Also, that's one of the good refrigerator, easy pickled refrigerated pickled. Like you don't have to go through the full canning process for those two, for pickles.
Yeah, you can do them right on the counter. So yeah, that's how we started. Yeah. And that's actually still how we do it. We don't even put them in the canner.
Interesting.
So yeah. We just cracked our last jar of pickles. They're 2 years old. So, my favorite. No, damn, I'm on the last episode.
Easy.
What's wrong with me?
It's okay.
Easy. So I would think easy for me. Green beans. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just starting out, or a new person, or experienced gardener, I think that green beans are a great way to go because they are relatively disease-free that I know of. I have not had a disease yet. I get
there has to be some beetle associated with beans, it feels like.
Disease.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Pest.
Disease.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, pest would be a Japanese beetle. My issues have been Japanese beetle and grasshoppers. And grasshoppers by far are way worse than Japanese beetle.
Okay.
That being said, Japanese beetle is treatable. Grasshoppers, the jury's out. I can't figure it out.
You need something bigger than a grasshopper to come in and take care of that.
Well, I got a pair of clippers. I go through and I snip them.
The okra lady was a few episodes back now, but she talked about, I'm pretty sure, for her okra plants, a lot of grasshoppers, and basically the birds came in and feasted on them.
Yeah.
So if you can direct birds to your garden.
Well, the issue I have with birds is because of where I live, there's so much other food sources for it that they don't need to search us out.
Yeah.
That's an issue that we have too. But they're producers, man. Like the first year we put them, and that's how we got into canning, is we put them up and we got so many. I was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I got to figure something out, and that's how we got into canning. So
I'm going to agree with the beans, and I was pulling up my list. Like, let me strike that one since he gave that one. And the reason, I mean, it's from start to finish, right? So that bean, it's such a big seed, right? It's a bean, and it emerges from the soil. It germinates so quickly, in my experience.
And it's big.
Yeah, yeah. And so there's no mistaking it, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets from the point of growth, and then it is truly for sure one of those, the more you pick, the more you harvest, the more you get. I know that's a general thing we say, and I believe it most times, but this one I'm absolutely all in. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd say generally versatile when it comes to the way that you could eat beans. I know that you only like them one way, which again,
I don't like them only one way. I like them. I don't even know how to say. I only like canned beans, so we can all of our beans. Now that being said, I will take fresh beans and cook the shit out of them until they taste like it. Don't get me wrong, but and we will eat them, but nobody in my family likes them like super fresh, and it's not an uncommon thing. Come to find out, I remember last summer I was talking to some people on Instagram, and a lot of them said the same thing, and there was a lot of people that were embarrassed by it, and which I was, and now I'm just like, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Like I just own it. But the other good thing about beans is they're easy to save a seed from too. They're super easy. And if you don't want to trellis them because you don't have the space, you don't have the time, you don't want to do it, you can grow a bush variety. And this is one of the bush varieties that actually are bush variety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I didn't even trellis. I trellised one type of bean last year. It was like the yard long beans, but I started out with just your regular bush bean variety. And like you said, they're true to form. I think the only thing that I note, and it doesn't make it not easy though, is those beans hide sometimes,
Well, and you got to get down low, because when they start coming on hard, but it's nice to have them. You know what I mean? It's nice to have that option. And I actually grow both.
Yeah.
So I start out with a bush bean, and then a couple weeks later, I'll start putting in my regular
runners.
Pole beans.
Yeah, pole beans.
That's what they're called, right? Pole beans?
I mean, it depends on where you are. I've seen them called pole beans for sure, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll put in the pole beans. And the reason why that is first of all, I'm waiting for my peas to be done, more than likely. And second of all, like the bush beans, they seem to be giving me harvest a lot quicker. And I can pull them out fast, and they are a great like filler. Like if you had something die, you need to put something in, you can drop one of those beans in and you're good.
Yeah. One other thing I like about beans is it's not, I mean, I guess a lot of vegetables are, but you don't need a whole like bushel of them to enjoy them. Right.
No.
You could toss them into whatever you're eating, whatever you're preparing. So it's really satisfying as a gardener, I think, to grow them, in addition to them being easy.
Now, my tip is, before we move on, if you're going to pick your beans, pick them early. Don't let them get big, because even stringless beans get strings, and the strings are not fun to eat. Yeah. So I've been fussed at a few times, and really what it comes down to is that my ass just gets lazy in the middle of the season, and I get tired. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think that's actually a really good tip, and just really good to call that out, because I do see that question, like, when is it time to harvest these? Is it time to pick them? Insert many vegetables, right? I think things like tomatoes are easier because you can see they're red if the tomato's supposed to get red. But I've seen that with like greens, right? I've seen that with beans. And it took me a while to accept, like, it's okay to have them young, going back to your beans, right? You're better off for it.
Yeah, it's fun to have them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, beans, solid choice.
Absolutely, solid choice.
Before we move on, let's take a word from our sponsor. Thank you. All right, everybody. Now that it's spring, we're going to do one more giveaway to get seeds in your garden, and we're going to do our direct seed sowing giveaway, which happens to be Ben's favorite giveaway, shockingly enough. Giveaway closes on May 1st, 2021, and Batavia is going to let you know one of the ways to enter.
So one of the ways to enter is by going to backyardgardenstv.com and enter your email address. With this, you'll be entered into the May 1st giveaway and all future giveaways. And then for an extra entry,
head over to YouTube to the Backyard Gardens YouTube channel and watch the video Gardeners Love Spring. Watch it, like it, and leave a comment telling us what your favorite thing to either grow in your garden is or your favorite thing about spring gardening. That way, we know more about you and you might win our seeds. Now on to our regularly scheduled program. Go ahead and give us one now, Batavia.
All right. I hinted at it earlier. Okra. It's hella easy to grow. I mean, I get it. I know what you're thinking, but I don't like okra. You should, is what I say to you. But I mean, it's so easy to grow. I've only grown it using a starter plant, which I know that a lot of people recommend direct sowing. So I haven't had that experience. But if you have a really warm summer, they'll take off. I think that I note if you have kind of cool temps, like I don't know what they do in San Diego. It's kind of like, forever 75 degrees there. Like, I'm not sure about there, but generally for me, even in Chicago where we don't get, triple digits or anything, they take off and thrive.
It's crazy how much they grow. It's
fast,
crazy.
How much they grow, how fast they grow, how much they put on. It's similar to the green bean. Well, you didn't say green beans. You just said beans, didn't you?
Well, I meant green beans.
So
I thought that was implied.
Though, pick it early, so
early
and often, right?
You can't pick it early enough.
Mm-hmm. And I guess you can. And it's the bonus of a pretty flower for, seconds before it turns into.
Dude, it's one of the most beautiful flowers in the vegetable kingdom. Yeah. I think. And it's so big and it's so pretty and it opens up in front of your eyes daily.
Should I do the classic Ben? Do you know what family that flower comes from?
Yeah, I do. Okay. The pretty flower, the pretty family.
The hibiscus family.
Is it? Yeah. It makes sense. It looks like a hibiscus.
Absolutely it does. I love it.
Yeah.
But no, I think that obviously there are some folks that are opposed to consuming okra. But
that's not what this is about, though.
No, it's about
this
easy.
This is not about what tastes the best.
Yeah, it's about what's easy. For me, it's been one of the easiest vegetables that I've ever grown, I think.
Yeah, it's there's only one issue I have with it. It gets too damn big.
Yeah.
You really have to put it in the back of your garden.
Yeah.
Where the shade's not going to be an issue. I
had someone ask me last year about growing okra in containers. And I've not tried it. And I don't know that I really have an interest in trying it. I can only think about when pulling okra plants up, how big their root system can be. Like it is like get one foot on the garden bed and get ready to tug, right?
I've never pulled one up.
No, you just cut them back?
I always cut the stalk all the way down to the ground, and then I might come out and drill a hole in it so it'll rot out, but I can't pull it out.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that kind of when it comes to easy to grow in certain mediums, right? So I imagine like your 50-gallon containers, you probably could plot a okra plant in that one. And I'm sure someone's going to say I grew it in a 5-gallon container. Like okay, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, I'm signing out with okra.
So what's your favorite variety that you've grown thus far?
I keep on looking online and looking in the stores, and I've only grown the Clemson, I think. And then I did a red variety. And I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, like velvet or something. And I'm going to try it again this year, but I really wasn't pleased with the taste. Like it was kind of sporadic when it came to the size I needed to, the red ones or burgundy that I needed to harvest them at. So I'm going to go with Clemson. I mean, I guess I
grow
could have grown
green-
some other variety that I've bought at stores. I just don't know it.
I grow green velvet. Mm-hmm. That's the one I grow. So I saved seeds from it last year.
Yeah.
So I'll probably just grow it. I was going to try and find something different. And I don't know. I'm still looking for something different.
Yeah.
I haven't decided, I'm pretty happy with the way that one was.
Mm-hmm.
It got super tall. I think, I direct sowed, and by the end of the season, it was 10 feet tall. You know what I mean? So, but I'm kind of curious if I can find something that would be a little bit better.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, I think that I'm interested in a variety that's, either one end of the spectrum, harvest when it's super duper young, right? Or harvest when it's super big, like one that's basically bred, if you will, to get larger and be okay. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I would rather just do young. No questions, no guess. So, diseases?
the Japanese beetle does attack the okra plants.
Okay.
And in particular, the leaves.
I haven't had any issues.
Yeah.
I've had flea beetles, actually. That's the only thing I've had with them.
Yeah, and because it's so high up and the stalks are kind of big, but not as big as some others, I've not had anything like actual critters crawling, like,
Yeah.
me and the squirrels, right? So I've not had any issues with that. I think the only kind of ding would be, to your point, sometimes it gets so tall where it's hard to harvest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I use that as my benefit. It just gives me stuff to save seed.
Well,
Because it's another easy one to save seed.
But you have to let that one completely dry on the vine. And for me, I've battled with they go dormant right around the time it gets cold and freezing. And once it freezes, it's done. So I've struggled.
Yep.
I do have, and I'll look it up maybe sometime this summer. If I figure it out, I'll even do it as a recipe. There's something about not the pods, but the actual seeds inside, like okra coffee or something wild and crazy. Someone shared with me a couple of years ago. So we'll see if I can make a note and remember that.
And not recipes, but ways to prepare it. What are the ways to be prepared? Because there's some people that have never had okra.
I've heard about those people.
Yeah. There's some.
In the world.
When I lived in New England, you didn't eat okra.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more tropical. Going back to the family of the hibiscus. I think generally it's more probably popular in the southern areas. So, a couple of recipes. One is fresh. I didn't even know you could eat it fresh. Like, of course, you can eat anything you want fresh, but it tastes very good fresh to me. It does have that sappiness that some people don't like.
Right.
Another way is roasted. So any way you roast other vegetables, you can roast okra whole, or you can cut it up. It's just going to have a much lower roasting time. I've done the traditional, put it in stews. It's used as a thickener for stews and soups. Growing up, the favorite way and the only way I even knew about it was boiling it, season it with some salt and pepper after it's boiled for however many minutes, and then topping it on top of black-eyed peas, any bean that you'll ever eat.
What's the best way, though? The best way?
I think most people will enjoy it roasted over
Fried.
anything. Oh, I completely forgot about fried
okra. I was
How
sitting here on the edge of my seat
Yeah.
waiting. That's
I
like the
almost
way
never make
you get
it
introduced
fried,
to
though.
it.
I actually
Yeah.
subbed in the roasted way for fried. It's not the same.
Yeah, that's like that's the way to get introduced into okra. And I think so. I tell a lot of people this: when you're trying something new, when in doubt, fry it first to try it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not healthy by any means, but it gives you a safe way to try it. Especially with okra, it gets that slime out of it that a lot of people don't like. So.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree in okra and in. The only reason
love
why,
fried okra.
I agree with you in that that's a great introduction, but I feel like you're masking so much of the okra taste, right?
Yeah.
So if you're like, oh, I like okra, well, can't quite say that yet. You like fried okra. I think.
Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair.
I think roasted okra, it gives you more of this is the taste of okra, and it gets the slime out as well. So I'm going to go forward with that in front of the judge.
There you go. My next one would be a sweet potato, I think. Once you get it going, yeah, as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, I don't know. But yeah, I think, I think it's easy once you get them in the ground. You just let them grow. Right?
I think
I mean, what problems is there? You just need time.
I'm just, teasing with you, but I think you're right. I think if you remove some of the challenges that we have here in the north, when it comes to the season and how long it is and all of that, it is one of those, you do it and leave it. You plant it and leave it,
Yeah, you don't touch it. You just take care of it. And then you harvest it. That's it. You don't have to, and you don't even have to check. Like, 100 days after you plant it, it's time. Mm-hmm. So if you live in the north, so the big issue is time, right? So if you don't have a lot of time, it takes 100 days, and a good variety is Beauregard. That's a good, quick variety, Georgia Jets are another good one. There's all kinds of them, but that's, Garnets, yeah. What else have you grown? I've only grown Georgia Jets and Beauregard and something I can't remember.
It's the other one that I grew last year, it started with a C, but I can't remember it either.
Yeah, and the Beauregards I've had the best luck with. They blew my mind. And you just put them in the ground and grow them, water them. You fertilize them. You don't go super heavy on the nitrogen on the fertilizer. So if you can fertilize with a less nitrogen-rich fertilizer, then go for it. But if you don't have that, you can still fertilize normal. I would not go putting extra blood meal or alfalfa meal or anything like that in there, but if you just use like a 10-10-10, use it. It's fine. And then you harvest it. And I mean, the only other tricky part of it, and this is the part that I like, is curing them. I like to cure them. I think that it's fascinating that, like, you pull them up, you cure them, you let them sit for 2 weeks. You don't touch them, you don't bruise them, you don't nothing, and then they get sweet and they store better.
Sweeter. Covington is the name.
Covington, yes. I saw you looking it up. Covington.
And there was nowhere in my head either. It was going to come to me.
No, I wouldn't have got that either.
But I do agree. Now, I have heard of people that have eaten them straight out of the ground. And it's very different than your regular potato, right? And so they're like, oh, they're fine. But that's been on the other side of I didn't know I wasn't supposed to eat them straight out of the ground. So I don't know if that's just like, make it up for it. I did have a sweet potato last year, much earlier than I did in the curing process, and it was fine. It was pretty spot on sweet. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the thing that if we're talking about all of the growing process, right? Technically, they're out of the ground; they're no longer growing when you cure them, right? But if we're going to be very genuine here, then I think that's the only asterisk. But it is absolutely one of those, like, once you get to the point of your past slips, you have them and plant them. I mean, it's, what's the term? Low maintenance.
Yeah, it's definitely low maintenance. It's, and basically the only maintenance I have to do to them is so this year I'm not putting them in my wild garden. I'm putting them in a regular bed. I'm going to have to cut them back because they're going to constantly be in there. And I'm not totally sold on this decision yet, just so don't everybody freak out, but I'm not totally sold. But, that's the only thing I have to do. And I just run them over with a lawnmower. You know what I mean? Just so they don't take over my whole yard.
Yeah.
But I get plenty of sun there, and that's why I want to, because, and I don't even know if I need to rotate them this year. That's the other thing. Maybe I don't need to rotate them. I don't know.
There seems to be, I've poked around, but I've not done like a deep dive, but there isn't a whole lot of, other than they're in the nightshade family, so there's that. But there's not a whole lot of like, what are the foes of sweet potatoes and like the whole crop rotation for sweet potatoes, because they're definitely treated different than like your regular white potato, if you will. But no, that's a solid choice.
I haven't had any issues with them as far as disease goes. I've grown them for 4 years now. Haven't had any issues. I haven't had any issues, and really, I mean, I've had flea beetles on them. I've had something else. I can't remember now. I probably had Japanese beetles on them, but even then, like, they didn't really take over too much. And I definitely treated. Don't get me wrong. Like, I treated with a mixture of neem oil and BT is what I used, just for everybody's curiosity. All organic, very effective, and.
You want to pull that volume up now?
And other than that, though, I mean, they're straight up. And how do we cook them? I only cook them one way. I roast them and I don't put anything on them. I just eat them straight up. That's how I roll. So I'm sorry, it's very anticlimactic, but you can juice them. They're good juice. Mm-hmm. And
so
pies. And my mic is going crazy.
And I'll fill in some of the blanks, like all of that easiness for just roasting them. Sweet potato fries, lover.
I don't like those.
I know. This is me. Talking about me. On your item,
always
talking about me.
you.
Sweet potato fries. I do your roasted is the same as like kind of it's just like a baked potato, right?
Yeah, baked potato.
I do actually do the whole roasting, like cutting them up in cubes or whatever, putting some oil on them and then roasting them in a pan.
I don't do that.
Yeah, okay. Sweet potato pies. I was in my favorite bakery last week. And I know I'm back. And I was ordering some stuff, and a guy came in, and I was wrapping up, and he ordered a sweet potato muffin. Remember, that's actually a recipe I've shared, and I'm like,
yeah,
wait, they have sweet potato muffins, and I looked, I'm like, damn it. But it's one of those things like I can absolutely make this much easier than I can the German chocolate cupcake that I bought. But I'm glad to know that I'm not the only person in the world that knows that sweet potato muffins are the thing.
No, I take that back. My wife does use them in baking, as a replacement for some stuff and as a sweetener. And I do have one other recipe that I use, but we will have to wait for that. I will go ahead and tell you, it is a Chipotle stuffed potato. So when it's time, I will give that recipe.
Damn it.
That's not sweet potato season though, so it wouldn't do anybody any good.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. I'll hold off. And then I have juiced them before too, like you said.
Yeah. And that's about it. Okay. So it's a pretty straightforward thing. I think making the slips is tough, but you can buy slips and you can, go from there. And it's just, they're very delicate when you stick them in the ground, but other than that, it's so maintenance free. It's just.
And the 100 days is a hot 100 days. So that's the key. Like I have 100 days of summer, or summer like weather, but not necessarily like full on hot. And for them, I'm just going to estimate 80 plus degrees consistently. Right.
You don't want to put them out when it's in the 60s, and dipping in the 50s at night. They're not going to be happy. No. So,
all right.
This is the last year that I've ordered them. So next year I'll be making all my slips.
Yeah. That reminds me. Damn it. I'm behind. I need to make my slips.
I wanted to get the right variety. So. Oh,
one other note. Once you go through the curing process, they store really, really, really well. So we kind of hinted at it. For me, the way I eat them, it's a great sub for your regular white potato, which doesn't keep as long, more nutritious, right? And I still have we're at the end of March or whatever. I think this comes out in April. Those A months always get me confused. So I still have potatoes that are sweet potatoes that are in firm condition from my October harvest, right?
Yeah, I do too. I have very few left, but I have some.
Yeah. So, all right. My next one is going to be almost any hot pepper. And I'm really distinguishing hot pepper versus sweet. They are easiest if I purchase them as a starter. I learned last year that they're pretty easy for me to start from seed indoors and plant. I don't have a long enough season to start them in direct sow. So I have to transplant them into my garden. They are basically a plant and leave for me as well. Obviously you harvest. They're a longer season, like you get to the point of producing peppers months into the season after you've planted them, but it's still pretty easy for me. Not as easy. I mean, this is easier to grow hot peppers than it is sweet peppers for me. And
hot peppers have always been easier for me too.
Yeah. And next week we're actually covering hard to grow summer vegetables. So we'll save some for that. But for me, depending on the pepper, it could be anything from stuffing it. One of my favorites is the jalapeno, which for some isn't hot at all, but it's definitely not a completely mild pepper. There's some great canning recipes that, I've talked about on on this show when it comes to hot peppers. You can add one to a particular dish and really kind of amp up the flavor. You can do any number of stuffed and fried. You know, chile rellenos is one of my favorites for poblano peppers. There's so you can dry them. Pepper. You know.
So this year I'm going deep on the peppers.
Okay.
Deep.
Okay.
I'm growing more varieties of peppers than I ever have. So
I'm sitting on my hands here. Damn it! What the hell?
Yeah. So I'm going deep on peppers this year, but I've grown all kinds of hot peppers, and I will tell you that I always grow jalapenos. They're nice. You know, they give you
middle
heat.
of the road. Yeah.
Yeah, they give you middle of the road. Personally, for me, it's doable. I can eat them. They don't kill me. It's a great heat.
Yeah.
So, and they do produce good. Now I've grown habaneros, and too many come off of it.
Okay.
And then I grew Tabascos, and it was like, shit, hell no. It was like I was picking them every day. I didn't even know what to do with the damn things. You know what I mean? So it's, you know, it's interesting how that works, but that's a good thing. I think but you know, for the habaneros, my problem is you get so many that nobody wants them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a novelty thing. And then the higher the pepper gets, and I'm sorry, Eric, you're just going to have to deal with the fact that I said that. I'm sorry. But growing these hotter peppers is more like a novelty thing. It's like, hey, man, check out this hot ass pepper.
Well, I mean, I think there's some people that love the heat, but I don't know that that's most people. It definitely, a novelty, I think, is a good descriptor there. So,
but I agree with you. I think they're a pretty easy pepper. I've always had good harvest off of hot peppers. So, and even sweet peppers to an extent, but you said hot peppers, so I'm gonna roll with it.
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah.
So how do you preserve your hot peppers?
The last 2 years I have. And that was the second thing behind cucumbers that I wanted to preserve. I wanted to your traditional vinegar, water, pickled jalapeno was my desire. So I've done that. I eat that with I eat pickled peppers with a lot of food. I'm not going to try to say the third P and do it real fast. I'm not going to do it.
Peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Yep, that's exactly why I didn't do it.
Done.
I did a cowboy candy or a candied jalapeno pepper. I pickled that or preserved that the last couple of years. A total hit.
So can I interrupt you real quick? So the reason why Octavia is just joking, Batavia is talking about canning peppers is because when you add the vinegar, it adds the acidity needed to make it a boiling canner recipe, a water bath canning recipe. So it is a very common first time. Yeah, well, let's say it, first timers canner, food preserver individual. And, a jar of them goes a long way too. So, I talked to a guy in my area about it. I was like, yeah, I grow all my own peppers and candy. He's like, shit, what for, man? They're only at 94 cents a fucking jar. And I was like, I'm sorry, sir. I like my peppers the way. He's like, you just one of them fancy ass fools. And I was like, you damn right I am. Then if growing my own food makes me fancy, then I'm fancy.
Fancy, huh? So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to note that sliced jalapenos or sliced peppers do go a long way. I realized that I was getting like 10 peppers or something in a jar using like a half pint jar. And that's not worth the time or the energy because that can be eaten up for me alone in 3 meals. Right. I'll make adjustments when it comes to the size jars that I can for that next year and all of that. But yeah.
Batavia likes hot peppers.
Yeah. I know, right? I'm drinking it with my coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. Peppers are they're a solid choice for preserving, and it's just the heat, and I think even I know a lot of people that say they like hot food, but when you grow your own peppers, they typically are hotter than what you get at the store. And I know my wife too, she used to love hot food, then she got pregnant and my son in utero ruined it. So now I'm the only one that will eat it. I love you, son, but dang. But she's never really been able to eat hot food since. But when we'll get peppers from the store, and she'll be like, these aren't hot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But ours are always hot when we grow them, and they're hotter. So it's interesting. So with that being said, it's not for. I wish there was, and there probably is. And if you know, let us know of a hot pepper that's not as hot as a jalapeno.
Yeah, I have a it's tame jalapeno or something that I'm trying this year. It's supposed to be the same flavor as a jalapeno, but not without the heat. But I read mixed reviews on the site that I bought them from, so we'll see. Another.
Is it a hybrid?
I don't remember. It has to be.
Yeah. No, I'm looking for an heirloom.
Okay.
That I can save the seed from.
That's not a sweet pepper, but not.
It's like a tamapino, whatever.
I butchered that name too. 2 quick notes. Hot sauce. I mean, come on. If you want to tinker around, kind of making your own things from your garden harvest, hot sauce. I did a awesome. What do you call it when you let things fester and almost get moldy?
Ferment.
I fermented some jalapenos last year, which was probably one of my favorites from preserving last year.
Really? Never done that. Yeah. So I've made hot sauce once, and it tasted like crap. It was awful.
I think it's the pickles. I think it's like, it's a whole business, right? There's a blend that you really need to find. So
I'm looking for, I'm going to try out a couple more recipes this year. I'm going to grow some Tabasco peppers for that specific reason, because they're they're a good pepper for making hot sauces. So, and like I said, one plant last time I was like, damn, like I was tired of pulling them in. So, all right.
One quick note around peppers, and it depends on how sensitive you are when you're harvesting them. The oils from the peppers can get on your hands, and so just be careful.
Oh, I hate that she went there.
Yeah, listen now. We're trying to be
so sad.
Yeah, we're trying to point out all the things.
I know. Okay, everybody be safe. Get your little rubber gloves out.
I don't use them to harvest, but try saving seeds from peppers. Baby, you better put those gloves on, because remember last year? Remember the Vaseline I was putting on my lips, but I had pepper juice on my hands, and so, yeah.
So David, quick story, he came and I was cutting up peppers, and he grabbed something off of the counter. David's my 6-year-old son, and he took it, and he took his hand and didn't taste it or anything, but grabbed his privates with it. And he was like, Daddy, something's wrong. I'm like, what's going on? He's, Daddy, something's really wrong. Daddy, something is going wrong. And he started crying. I was like, what is it? And then I figured it out, and I was like, all right, let's get in the shower. So Gold Bond will take care of that. So,
Yeah, so, sometimes you have to learn early, clearly.
It is what it is. But, yep. And you can also stuff them. Who hasn't had a jalapeno popper? I mean, really.
Yeah. And I've been looking for really sizable jalapenos. So that's when we're talking about you're growing the giant ones this year. Yeah. I want to see how giant those babies are.
Yeah, grande jalapenos. So, yeah.
Oh, real quick, one other note. On Instagram, I saw this whole peppers frozen, whole jalapenos. A gardener pulled them out of the freezer. This is like in February or March or something, and put them on the grill. And from what I can tell, they looked intact, right? So that's another note when it comes to preserving them.
Yeah, and you can make chipotles with them.
Ah, yeah. Well, with jalapenos.
Yeah. They're just smoked jalapenos. Is all a chipotle is.
Or is that
the flavor?
Or is that poblanos?
It's smoked jalapenos.
Okay. All right.
That's what I've always read.
All right. Okay.
If I haven't, then somebody in the world of the internet has steered me wrong, and the internet never lies. It is always truthful. So,
Clearly.
Clearly. So my, I hesitate on giving this one.
I know where you're going to.
Where am I going?
Go ahead. Let's see how good I am.
I see you getting cocky now. You got one right last time, and now you're getting cocky.
In 50 episodes, I got one right.
One right. Now, this is like our 100th and some change. I don't know.
Well, I got the last one right 50 episodes ago, but go on.
I was going to say watermelon.
Yeah.
Is that what you thought? Yeah. But I hesitate because of the space required. That's my biggest hesitation with watermelon. But I think it's manageable. It's just you're gonna have to go trim it. But and as we go through our other lists, just like green beans are the same way. Like if you put them on a trellis, like they're gonna go up and over, and at some point you're gonna have to trim it. So, as long as they have everything they need, the nutrients and water. That's a dumb thing. It says, as long as they have everything they need. Could be a lot of things, but they're pretty easy to do. They don't have a whole lot of issues. I've had powdery mildew. I've had mostly my biggest problem is they get so damn big, and I put them in the wild garden and the vines will spread out 40 feet, and I'll have a watermelon growing in the woods that I didn't even see. So that's an issue. And then the only tricky part is harvesting them.
Knowing when.
So knowing when, and this is, you might want to turn it up because you're about to hear it. So when you get your melon, you follow the stem, okay? And when you get to this where the stem meets the vine, there's a little curly Q pigtail thing. When that thing goes away, that melon's ready to go, okay? Now you can flip it over, you can thump it, you can do all that stuff, but that's when I've been able to do it. And when that curly Q is gone, it's ready to go. It's not that hard. You just have to find it. So once I learned that, it was a game changer. I was getting, instead of getting a 30-pound melon that was green on the inside, now I'm getting them where they're nice, bright red and all that. So, and this goes the same for cantaloupes too. And I would say honeydews, but I don't talk about those. So we're going to move on from that one.
So the reason why I thought watermelon is because I know it's one of your favorites. But the reason why I thought you paused around it is, beyond space though. And I think because you're in a hot climate, so yeah. I think watermelons and melons are very similar to sweet potatoes when it comes to where I live, and I'm sure our listeners, do we have enough hot days? Right. And so, it is a heat loving veggie. I had great luck with melons.
Fruit.
Thank you. I had great luck with the fruit of melons last year. The exception was the melons that I tried to plant. Now, this is the key, though. So I didn't go with your traditional regular size melon. Because of my space, I tried to kind of pack things in. So I went with some type of mini watermelon. And I'm sure there's a lot of user error in there. Everything from every other melon had taken off. And I had these little bitty watermelon plants trying to kind of fight for room. There ended up then being some pollination issues with them. So I didn't harvest not a single melon last year. But it's not... I had one season with it, so I don't have enough experience to counter your it's easy. I would love to have a watermelon patch, though.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, too, with, there's so many varieties now. There's fast maturing varieties. It's coming out. You're definitely going to be growing hybrids. So, like, for instance, this sweet young lady that I know, she sent me some mango melon seeds that she had saved last year. And the problem is the mango melon, which does not taste like mango, which is going to be a huge disappointment, but that's okay, is a hybrid. So I don't know what I'm going to get. I pray to God that I will get the mango melon, but you never know. Yeah. But I want to grow it. So, there's all those. And then the other thing I'm going to grow is personal size watermelons. Because, having a 50, like I've had a 50-pound watermelon one year, and it was like, damn. Yeah. What are we going to do with this? You know what I mean? So, like, y'all ready to have a party?
Oh my gosh. I've never, intense. I love them. But my grandmother used to say she could take or leave them like when they were young. So, we're talking about people that were born in the 30s. So do the math. She talked about how basically all of the kids, she was one of many children. All of the kids the older kids would carry 2 watermelons from the watermelon field, and the younger kids would just basically try to carry 1, so basically everyone had at least 1 melon plus for themselves. So she used to say I had enough melons for a lifetime, right? Because they're pretty, they're not cheap in the stores by any means.
No, they're not.
There's a part of this conversation that I'm not going to dig deep on, but if you look at whatever, I don't even know the name of the traditional watermelon, but the one that's green and kind of yellow and that you see in all of the stores, like that is what I expect when I think about watermelons. Everything else, especially when you get to the miniature ones, makes me feel like, and I'm pro hybrid. I can care less. Like, but it makes me feel like every change you've made to it kind of reduces like the connection to what your expectation is, if that makes sense. I know that sounds kind of gobbled. It's like, well, yeah, your mini watermelon didn't turn out because your mini watermelon inserted into your Chicago climate. Like, all of these things are not meant to be when it comes to producing it. Like, you're pushing the envelope so much, don't be surprised when you don't get what you want, right? So, anyway.
Now, I think when you think about a watermelon, though, you know, like when I grew the 50-pound watermelons, and I got like 4 of them that year that were, I think the biggest one's 54.5 pounds. It takes a long time for it to get that way. So the smaller watermelons will ripen sooner.
That's the theory.
Typically speaking, that you know, it makes sense. It really does make sense when you pull something that big. And I mean, look, there's people that grow 1,000-pound watermelons. So, you know, and they use Neptune's Harvest to do it. So you're welcome, Neptune. But you know, it's a whole thing, and part of that is the you know, the variety that they choose to grow. But you know, how do we eat watermelon? Raw.
Yeah, fresh watermelon is the best. I've blended.
I'm not even gonna front,
but I'm gonna add to it. You can blend
Go
it
ahead,
still raw, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it you that gave me the watermelon avocado? Yeah, okay, man.
Yeah.
Come on through here with
Did
the
you
fresh.
try it?
No, I haven't.
There you go. And you even said that day, I'm gonna go try it right now. I have an avocado and I have a watermelon.
Yeah, and by the time I got to, you know, that watermelon was rotten. And it wasn't even for my garden, right? Like, it's like, I paid to let this watermelon rot. Okay.
Yeah, so that's it. You know, pretty easy, just space demanding and time.
Yeah. Okay.
But look for the right varieties.
Yeah, for sure. I actually haven't even worked through the melons that I'm growing this year.
Yeah. So here we go. Have we done enough, or do we need one more?
One more, quick though.
Okay, you give one, I'll give one quick. Go.
Someone's going to be outraged about what I did not mention here, but I'm going to move on. Strawberries.
Damn it, that was my next one.
So I think it's really one of those, you know, plant it and leave it. They're the whole thing about clipping runners and all of that jazz. And I'm too low key, low maintenance for that. Perennials, they come back even in my climate every year. It's not asparagus, so it's not going to be 20 years worth from those same plants. They multiply, hint back to the runners. The only note that I found is they're easy to grow. Your harvests vary though, because there is this thought of that first year you shouldn't let the fruit produce, but the hell with that. So how much you get will be dependent on how many you plant, obviously, how healthy those plants are. But yeah, it's easy peasy. My only note regarding for my garden is I just hate that I've basically dedicated the space. Like, you know how I move everything around? Like, I'm really not doing that for the strawberries. It's like, all right, 4x4 bed. It's yours. Berries, do what you do.
Yeah, I have a patch. I just put, you know, I think I put 8 out one year, and now I have like 50 2 years later.
Yeah.
And, you know, last year we were eating fresh strawberries on the beach. You know what I mean? And
yeah, that's pretty cool.
You know, my in-laws, it was funny. We pulled on, like, yeah, we grew these. And he's like, yeah, they're kind of gritty. I was like, you know what? I'm like, give me my damn strawberry back, fucker. I didn't want to share it with you anyways. So
that is a vegetable that is true that it will taste very different than what you buy in the stores. You know,
it's completely different, you know, and it was gritty because we didn't wash them, you know, we didn't wash them as good as we should. Because usually when we do it, we're like, we understand that there's going to be something in it, but it was good. You know, and I agree. I mean, you stole mine. Yeah. So, but let me think. If I had to pick one more for the summer, I'm going to try and buy a little bit more time. Let's see, in my garden. You know what? I'm going to go with eggplant. You know, it's a solid producer. It comes and it grows and it grows and it gives and gives and gives and gives and gives.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways to use it. I haven't had many issues. I've grown eggplant for 15 years, and last year was the first year that I didn't have any luck. So I didn't have any harvest off of it. So I'm going to call that, I'm going to call a mulligan on that one and move on. But I mean, there's all kinds of recipes to use for that. So, a lot of stir fries and stuff like that, and eggplant Parmesan.
Yeah. There is.
It is a nightshade.
It is.
So
there is a recipe that I've shared before here, and it's that whole tomato, eggplant, zucchini bake. There's a real name for it, and it's on the interweb if you want to look that up too. But that's a great way to use eggplant. I thought if it wasn't earlier watermelon, it was going to be eggplant for you.
Yeah.
So I know that that's a veggie that you guys really enjoy as well.
Yeah, we enjoy it. The one reason why we grow it is just because it's so prolific. You know what I mean? And so what we grow too is we don't grow what you find in the grocery store, the big fat ones.
What's that?
We'll grow like
beauty, black beauty.
Black beauties or whatever. I don't know what cultivar you're seeing in the grocery store, but we grow the thinner ones typically. I was fussed at this year because I was told to grow the black beauties, and I had some seeds. I have some ping tongue seeds. So I'm growing those, and they're just like Ichibans is what you would think about. So, Ichiban eggplants are the long, slender ones, and you get a lot of those. It's just it's anything that's a heavy producer, I'll take, because sometimes you just need something to kind of make you feel better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you want to give something away. That's a good thing to give away. Not everybody loves it, but a lot of people... I feel like a lot of people don't buy eggplant, but they would enjoy to have an eggplant.
I think there is a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to when to harvest them.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Well, yeah. I mean, the skin, when you push on it with your nail, you want it to dent a little bit,
and you want it to still be shiny, right?
You want it to still be shiny, yeah. So, and if you're gonna save seed, you let it go. Just let it grow. But, I haven't saved any seed from it yet. I haven't needed to, because one pack of seeds lasts me 4 years. So I haven't had an issue. This year, I probably will end up saving them this year, but I don't know, because she wants me to grow big eggplants. And I told her, I was like, look, I'm growing pumpkins for you. I'm like, I'm thinking about growing corn for you. I'm like, damn, you ain't going to dictate what I do completely. Like, this ain't McDonald's.
This is your partner in life, the she that we're talking about. The other adult in your home. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm tracking.
She don't give us so much say. What the hell is wrong with her? I'm joking. Don't take that.
I know Kelly, and I know he's joking.
She will punch me right in my mouth quick. So, but it's the same idea with the black beauties though. I've grown them before, and I didn't have as good of luck with them. And I think there's a medium. There's, in between the Ichibans and the black beauties where you get like a medium-sized one. That's what we'll probably do.
Yeah. Littlefinger is one that I've grown for a couple of years. I started them from seed, and that was my experience. Like, I remember I did everything. I overdid everything when it came to the number of plants, but I also planted a lot of eggplants because my experience had been, it didn't produce a lot. And boy, was I wrong. Yeah. That thing, I mean, those plants set off so much fruit. So. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's easier summer crops out there to grow. That's just what we came up with.
Yeah. Easiest for us.
I think there's solid choices. You know what I mean? I think if you were a beginner gardener, would you take those and would you feel comfortable telling them to grow those?
Looking over the list I made a note of, yes.
Yeah, I would be too. Yeah. The only one I think would be the caveat would be the watermelon. I think is a difficult one on that scale because it's just so big.
Yeah, and I'd probably put an asterisk with strawberries just because it's just the idea of you need to not bury the crown, and that is sometimes confusing because most everything we basically put all the way underneath the earth. So, yeah.
I buried mine in the crown and they still multiplied.
Oh,
and
gave
me one,
good. Okay. Yeah. You're not supposed to versus you can't, you'll fail. Okay, yeah.
Well, and I say that like you're not supposed to, and I did it. And what probably ended up happening is when I watered it, it washed off of the crown.
Because that's where the energy
probably
is
what
supposed
happened.
to come. The sun beats down on the crown, and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, so. Okay. Well, now that we've talked about food this whole time, let's give the recipe of the day. All right, Batavia, what seasonal recipe do you have for everybody?
Did you see me licking my fingers? All right. No, you missed that? Okay, yeah, I was. All right, so simple as it simple does. I'm going with an arugula salad. Raw arugula salad, because salad can be heated. It is one of the first things that I started from seed. And truth be told, I'm not crazy about it. So Patrick and I, he's a listener, we were chatting about arugula. That's the reason why it was top of mind. So hey there. But we were chatting about it and how in some cases people don't even know of arugula, right? And I've always seen it in stores. I like it because it is a fast growing crop and it comes on and there's a lot to it. Harvest it young. So for your arugula salad, let's get some young leaves because it gets a little bit peppery the older the leaves get. You can have, I'd say, for a single person, like a single serving, 2 handfuls of arugula leaves. And we're doing real simple. We're going to go with, our dressing is going to be lemon juice. I'm looking at my note here, and olive oil, right? So, I don't know, maybe 4 tablespoons of olive oil for a family size, to 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. You can play around with this for your taste. I typically just drizzle, after I've stirred this up, drizzle on the salad. You can massage the greens if you want to. They're pretty tender greens, so you can decide whether or not you want to do that. But it really, massage them. You like that? I know you do. All right, moving on. You're gonna add salt and pepper to taste. But this is where it kicks things up. So you can add some Parmesan cheese. You want to shave this. You don't want this to be the package. You want the fresh kind of shavings of the Parmesan cheese, and it feeds into that slightly peppery taste of the arugula salad. If you wait another month, you can also add strawberries. I know we're not quite there yet, but it's a nice kind of sweetener as well.
You can get them in the grocery store, though.
Yeah, for sure.
The California strawberries should be here by now.
And then I'd add one more topping. Either way, if you have strawberries or not, I do almond slivers to the salad. So
I'm so glad you took the fancy route.
Yeah, because otherwise, couple of handfuls, maybe 3 or 4 cups of arugula, lettuce or leaves, I guess. You're going to do a mixture of lemon juice and oil for your dressing. Don't go like any of that gooey, thick, creamy dressing. Don't do that. You don't want to abuse the salad. We're going to do salt and pepper to taste. Then we're going to add in shaved Parmesan cheese. And if you're really fancy, slivered or sliced almonds, and top it with some strawberries if you have them.
There you go.
Arugula salad.
Yep. I would use candied almonds on it.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yeah. And your cowboy candy?
Oh, no, I wouldn't do that.
Why?
I wouldn't do that.
Anything to take away the peppery taste of arugula, I would do.
That's why you gotta get those leaves young, right? I normally eat either this way or I add it to other leafy greens when I'm making a salad. Once those leaves get like the size of your, like let's say from your wrist to your midway your fingers, if you have your hand up, they're too big. Yeah. They're going to be peppery. Arugula
so they're not peppery when they're young?
They're not as peppery when they're young.
Peppery,
yeah.
Okay.
Definitely a much more mild taste. And it comes on very strong, early, and it's pretty slow to bolt for me, just as a note.
Yeah, probably bolt super quick here. I've had it like 3 or 4 times, and every time it didn't hit the mark for me, but if it was in a recipe or something, I think if I added something sweet to it, it might kind of offset it. So
yeah, it definitely fits.
And I wouldn't massage it though.
Yeah, the leaves are probably a little bit too tender for that.
No, I'm just saying I wouldn't massage it anyway.
Do you ever massage your kale?
Negative.
Okay, all right. So, so
as a matter of fact, this is the first time I've heard of any such thing.
oh,
so
absolutely.
This isn't Kobe beef.
Next time we'll talk about kale salad. I almost never eat fresh kale salad without massaging the greens. But anyway, we'll move on from that. So I can see you.
Why are we massaging it? No,
It
I need to talk
softens
about
it.
this.
So you add a little bit of oil for kale, a little bit of
So you just squeeze it, like massage it, like right with your fingers?
like massage with your hands. Get in there, Hopefully it's for your family because you're gonna touch every single green. It softens the kale. Kale greens are kind of tough. Not tough as in it's not edible, but they're definitely a more solid green that breaks down the leaf. Add a little bit of the acid from the lemon juice, the oil, a little bit of salt, man.
And it works into the green and makes it tender?
Yep. It's good stuff, man.
All right. So look, I have a bunch of kale I just harvested. I'm going to try it. If it ain't tender, I'm coming after you because you made me look like an idiot in there rubbing my kale.
Nothing but space and opportunity between us.
Oh, there it is. Them is fighting words. Like legit 1982 fighting words.
Yeah, it's good
there
stuff.
it is. So, you guys, you've heard our easy recipes. Or not our easy,
That too.
Our
That's
easy
an easy
crops.
recipe.
Yeah, that is an easy recipe. But this is salad season. May I go on the record saying
is.
so? And we always try to do one fancy salad a week. So
there it is.
Adding the cheese and the almonds, I think, does spice it. Because usually we don't add anything else. We just do vegetables and dressing.
No, I am most salads are garbage salads for me. I rarely do like a 3 veggie salad. Right? I'm going into the cabinet, tossing stuff in there, but everything doesn't belong in every salad. So
yeah, that's the damn truth. So, all right, everybody, easy vegetables for you to grow this summer. Some of them can be direct sowed, some of them can't. Let's quickly go over that. Direct sowed would be beans, melons, okra, and
you got
that's
covered
it.
Watermelons, right?
Yep.
That's it, really.
So that's it.
Cucumbers. You could direct sow cucumbers.
Cucumber. Yeah, cucumbers should be direct sowed too. Ooh, forgot about those. So, and then, you can go right in. You can also hit up our giveaway. Yep, backyardgardenstv.com. Enter and do the extra for an extra entry if you would like. And that's about it. So until next time, which we're going to talk about.
I know.
Difficult ones.
The hard ones, man.
It's depressing. The hard ones.
Tune in for that 3-hour episode. No, it's not.
Yeah. No, but we'll also give you tips on how to make them easier if we can. So, we'll see you guys next Tuesday for our mini-sode. And until then.
Oh, yeah. See ya.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you want to see what we're up to or just stay up to date on all the announcements regarding the show or anything gardening, then you can follow us on Instagram at Backyard Gardens TV.
We love seeing what you guys are doing, so use hashtag BYG Podcast in your posts, and we'll be sharing your gardens with the Backyard Gardens community.
And check us out on YouTube at Backyard Gardens, where we will post this show, all of our other shows, clips, and then also some gardening tips and just gardening entertainment. And you can see us at our website at backyardgardenstv.com. But that's it for today's show. So help us as we learn to grow and grow for change. And until next time, we'll catch you guys later. We'll call this one a wrap.
Now you know why people feel like celebrating at harvest time.
All over the world, people have feasting and good times when the crops have been gathered in.